Hi there, everybody. I'm Colleen Frangos, Rocket IT's Community Relationship Coordinator, and I am here with Matthew Holtkamp, President and founder of Holtkamp Heating and Air Conditioning. And I'm so glad to have him as my first guest on Thrive Gwinnett. And Thrive Gwinnett is Rocket IT's community focused video series that we're really trying to highlight amazing organizations in the Gwinnett community that have continued through these difficult times this year of 2020 to make positive impacts in the community, whether that be with their employees, with the clients and people in the community that they're supporting, and also our local nonprofits. So Matthew, I'm so glad that you're here today on this Friday afternoon virtually. So welcome.
Well, thank you. I'm so honored that I get to be the first guest.
Yay!
And I'm not sure what to say, but
No.
If it's going to be easy to top me for the next guest,
What everybody tells me, and I believe this through knowing you for a few years now, you've got the best attitude and the best energy. So it will be hard to top. And I think with us combined, it's going to be really hard.
I love Gwinnett. I love our community here. So
yeah. Well, let's dive in. So I know we've kind of, off camera, have talked about a few things just, through the years with, your focus in the community, but I'm really curious to hear more about how things are going internally. I think it's difficult once, back in March, how, a lot of folks were going remote, but, essential workers, you're still out in the field. And I know a lot of your technicians were still having to continue doing business. And, what did that look like for you? How have you guys been handling that?
Well, it was quite exciting there in March because, March 1 is a big day in our industry. That's when we switch over to air conditioning servicing, tuning up, getting systems ready. And so then this all came down, I think, the next weekend. I think it was Friday, the second week of March.
Yes.
If the dates are right. And so it was like, and if you remember too, masks weren't really a thing, but I do remember though that they did talk about social distancing right away. Mm-hmm. And so also we didn't know anything about essential services. That was also a new term. I mean, there are so many things that we've learned through all this.
Definitely.
And so we just knew that we needed to keep our space, but I'm a statistics guy. Any business owner is going to always look at his risk. And I knew the risk was low because at that time, Gwinnett County didn't even have a death. We only had maybe 10. What are the odds that we're going to get it? So I was like, we immediately started doing meeting people where they were because, media was that was the whole talk of everything that you saw on the news and in the newspapers. It was all about this coronavirus thing.
Yeah.
And so, that's how we did it in the beginning. And then we actually met a couple times here at the office, but then we really quickly saw watching other businesses start doing these Zoom meetings. And we're like, how does that work? And we ended up, because every Tuesday morning we have our tech meeting and we're just a small group just within that one department. We're probably the department that communicates the most.
Gotcha.
We were able to do FaceTime, I believe is how we ended up doing it. And so everybody worked from home. Well, I shouldn't say we worked from home. We did the Zoom meetings from home. So instead of everybody coming in, everybody just met at stayed at home on Tuesday morning. And then I noticed that the team building or the team, I don't know, what would be the word, just the way that we all kind of, the team itself already is tough because we're all like lone rangers out there. We're one-on-one, one of us with one customer. And so really Tuesday morning was the only time we could come together and feel like we were a team, right?
True. Yeah.
And so doing this on FaceTime, nobody wanted to talk,
It is awkward. Yeah.
It's so awkward. And so our normal 1 hour meetings ended up only being maybe 15 minutes. we would talk about, reminding them about all the procedures that we were supposed to do and cleaning our hands or doing the hand sanitizer and the booties and just, we all had masks right away. And
Yeah.
we had, I had from all these Gwinnett Chamber golf tournaments, I had all these hand sanitizer bottles. So I didn't even have to buy hand sanitizer.
Oh, yeah. Hand them out like candy, right?
Exactly. I had all these little bottles. And so telling Suzanne, my wife, that, we're empty nesters. My entire social calendar, my entire community engagement calendar had gone to nothing.
Yeah.
So, all I could do was sit here in the office and worry. So what did I do? I jumped in my van. I did a complete inventory of it. I got on, and we were shorthanded anyway, because that's the time that we start to staff up.
Yeah.
So it was like, I'm going to run service calls. And so, focusing on each customer one at a time, it kind of takes your mind off of all the other worries.
True.
And it makes you feel empowered that you're going to be a part of the solution. I'm taking myself from the overhead column into the revenue producing column. So that
That's
also
true.
gave me, feeling like I was making a difference. And so that's really how those first couple of months looked.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, just from, going back to hand sanitizer, I mean, did you, in coordinating with your techs, I mean, did you guys have different systems of how they got materials from the office? I mean, in terms of socially distanced, I mean, was there a lot of prep work on the back end in order to get everybody the tools they needed to go out to the residential properties or
Yeah, exactly.
businesses?
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot to it. So normally the guys on Tuesday morning after those meetings would completely restock from what they'd used the prior week, And so I was like, okay, well, if one person were to get this, we don't want to just shut down the whole company. So we said, all right, no more. You can't come in the warehouse. You're just going to go to the dock. You're going to call our operations manager. He's going to bring everything out to the dock. You're just not allowed in the building. If you absolutely have to use the bathroom, because the best places to use the bathroom, because we try not to use our customers' bathrooms, just out of courtesy. And so Publix, grocery stores, a lot of the new ones, don't have doors.
Oh wow, yeah, that's true. So you don't have to worry about that. Yeah,
you don't have to touch anything.
Yeah. I mean, logistics.
So we had some pretty strict things so that if someone did get found out that they had coronavirus, it's not going to shut the whole company down.
Yeah.
And so, it's, I had to just think of all this stuff. I mean, just on the fly. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, no, yeah. And what's going to work for, somebody else isn't necessarily going to be the right thing for your company and your people. So you got to meet people where they're at. And I think you said that earlier. So I think that made the most sense.
Yeah, we had some people that were like, yeah, we know that the majority, and they were right, of what we do is outside. And so we would just leave the filter with them. And then we would go and do our work outside.
Definitely.
And so that was a very small percentage. They all tended to be Gwinnett County school teachers. I don't know why. They really were the most I found out of our population.
That's so crazy. Well, tell me, you've got the Holtkamp way, your gold standard of how you guys are doing business. And you've talked about how you've had to pivot and, what it looks like for your staff, but have the needs changed for your clients? I mean, are you seeing an increased need in some areas and others it's kind of fallen off the map? I mean, what's happening?
Well, I would say there's, just to make no assumptions, the Holtkamp way, I'm sure a lot of the listeners, we actually have some particular things about the Holtkamp way, about wearing booties and about leaving the place cleaner than the way we found it. I mean, doing these extraordinary things. They're all customer service related. And so it was like, how is this coronavirus going to make us add some more list a few more bullet points of what constitutes the Holtkamp way? And so that's where, we wanted to go above and beyond and show people that we make no expectations when we ring that doorbell. Whatever you want, we're going to do it. Yeah. And whatever we do, it's going to make you feel more comfortable doing business with us. And so
that's good.
Those were the kinds of things. And then asking them over the phone, if anybody there had been sick, and that,
Mm-hmm.
we will notify you if anybody within our organization gets sick. You know, kind of doing our own contact tracing. You know,
Yeah.
can you imagine if I found out that I was sick, I would have how many people that I come into contact with that I would have to make that phone call to, and knock on wood.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. That whole ripple effect. It's, ooh,
Yeah.
oh,
So,
yeah. No, that's interesting. You're right. You're right. I mean, it's, you add things to the Holtkamp way in this case. And I think you guys do a bang up job of that. And, you know, I think it helps put everybody's already heightened sense of anxiety at ease to know, hey, I can still get, you know, my service delivered the way I expect it. And I know that they hold themselves to that same standard. So I like that.
exactly.
Tell me a little bit about what you're doing right now that may have been different than prior to COVID. I mean, are you guys kind of shifting gears of where you're giving focus and priorities are right now?
Mm-hmm. Well, we wanted to make sure that places like the Hope Clinic, that was actually a fairly new place that we started doing HVAC services for as a volunteer effort.
Oh, wow.
And so they are a hospital or like a clinic that help the poor and indigent. And we wanted to make sure that they didn't have any problems with their facilities. So, I mean, we definitely paid really close attention to them. Also, you know, a lot of these nonprofits that we do, like I just had lunch just before this meeting with Katie Pelkey over at the Aurora Theater about how are we addressing the HVAC in the building so that when they reopen that their patrons feel comfortable coming in there. And that's really the big talk in the commercial HVAC sector on what are we going to do with these buildings to make sure we have good ventilation. So Katie and I talked about, you know, how we're going to do that. And same thing with the Infinite Energy Center. We're upgrading all the air cleaners to a higher MERV rating so that they clean the air better.
Wow.
And so those are just some of the specific ways trying to address that. And we also talked about UV lights and plasma air cleaners that put ozone in the air, but a good type of ozone that collects to a molecule and can either neutralize it and make it immediately fall to the floor rather than floating around.
Wow.
So, I mean, we did talk about how most of these facilities aren't going to open until January, and especially when we bring in a lot of ventilation air, that adds a lot to a utility bill. So we're going to start setting those all up, you know, once our community feels and the medical community thinks that these large facilities are ready to open. Gotcha.
That's interesting. Yeah, no, that is a total shift in, you know, the priorities and how you're supporting folks. Now, are you guys still really active with the Hudgens Center for the Arts?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We actually, we just love doing stuff with them. And, you know, that a lot of that's because of Suzanne, who's so artsy.
Yes.
And so we wanted to continue promoting them even though they're not open. And so we actually came up with some voucher programs to give away to young people so that they could do virtual arts, you know.
Oh, okay. Like a camp or?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
These virtual camps.
Aw.
And so that way they make all the mess at home and their parents have to clean it up and they don't have to do anything at the Hudgens.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
If it involves slime and kinetic sand and Play-Doh, keep going.
Yeah, everything. Go outside and get a bunch of dirt.
Sure.
You know? Bring the dirt in here. So I've actually not done one myself, so I couldn't honestly tell you. But we just love promoting them. We love the folks over there.
Well, Matthew, this is about as much as I wanted to do a deep dive. I think we've covered a lot of ground here. I think, again, you and your wife are doing a phenomenal job continuing to adapt and support our community in ways that, you know, I think a lot of organizations out there need. And again, the Holtkamp way. I mean, y'all are thriving. You're doing great things. You're continuing to build upon what's already been a wonderful, prosperous organization. And I didn't realize, I do want to say, 25 years in business.
Yes.
Impressive. Congratulations. Rocket IT celebrated their 25th this year as well. So
Yeah.
amazing.
I didn't even know Matt Hyatt back then. We didn't conspire to start our own companies at the same time. It just happened.
It was a good year. It made sense.
Yeah. But Matt is a couple of years ahead of me, you know. I mean, as far as making a lot of, I don't know what would be the word, just a lot of the milestones that he's made. Like he beat me in the Gwinnett County Impact Regional Business Awards. He beat me by, what was that? I think it was the year, you know.
Oh,
so
wow.
at some point, I'm gonna jump over him.
I got you.
Him out on something. But,
Yeah.
you know,
You want a chance. Move over, Matt.
Yeah, exactly. But
No,
yeah,
y'all are great guys. I love it.
thought that you might ask me where I get a lot of inspiration from, or why we give back so much to the community.
You know, let's talk about that.
Yeah,
Right.
there's a lot of you know, when I think about that, or when I know somebody's going to ask me that question, it's not just any one single thing. But you know, growing up in rural Iowa, out in the country, you know, where the nearest town only had a population of 100 people. It's very community driven, you know.
Yeah.
But so outside of the influence of my grandparents and my parents, you know, in my, you know, extended family, aunts and uncles and whatnot, you know, and probably the first civic organization that I joined was 4-H.
Oh, yes.
You know much about 4-H. I mean, if you think about it, it's got a lot of similarities with Rotary, you know.
Yeah, it does.
You know, and you're giving leadership opportunities to kids, you know, even though you don't really do a lot as treasurer of a 4-H group.
Yeah, well,
it's still how often
you're planting the seeds. Yeah.
Yeah, a freshman in high school get to say that he's an officer of a little organization like that.
It's
and
empowering.
So it's little baby steps like that. And
I agree.
You know, we used to clean up the ditches. Just the whole 4-H club would walk down the roads, the old country roads, and pick up cans. Now, in Iowa, you get a nickel for those cans, just so you know. So it's not like we weren't getting anything from it.
There you go. There's something in it for you. I like it. No.
But yeah, so those kinds of things, it's almost like unnatural to not be connected to your community.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
So it was like I always knew that I was going to be a small business owner for as long as I can remember. Even when I was a teenager, I knew whatever I was going to do in the future, it had to mesh well with a small business, you know?
Absolutely.
And so a lot of the things that I knew that I had to give everybody their birthdays off, because growing up in a family of 7 kids, your birthday was your only special day.
Yeah.
For you,
oh yeah.
you know?
All about
so
you.
I knew whenever I had my own company, everybody would get their birthday off as a paid holiday. And so that's what we do. So
I love that.
You definitely have to ask yourself, well, what day are we going to celebrate that person's birthday here in the office? Because they're never here on their birthday.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But trust me, we do manage to celebrate their birthdays here.
Yes, and you got to get creative. I like that. That's really neat. I didn't know that. Well, Matthew, we're out of time. Until next time, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you on the next Thrive Gwinnett. Thanks, Matthew.
Thank you.